very happy. If he's anywhere else on the podium, he looks decidedly po-faced.
It's not Giancarlo Fisichella, the aforementioned. Took a bit of a pasting last year for letting Michael Schumacher by after coming out of that pit stop. This is a good track for the Italian, and he could use a good result right now. He seems to be coming back into the picture among the prognosticators for next year's driver lineup. He may yet be able to extend his career and continue the pursuit of countryman Riccardo Patrese record for all-time Formula One starts. Of course, by the time Fisichella gets there, Rubens Barrichello will probably be the record holder. There's that banking at turn 15.
Yeah. Nick Heifeld's car still going, so he's now got 12 laps in the book.
Just about everybody on track now, getting a final check. We'll have one more practice tomorrow morning and then 3 rounds of knockout qualifying for Sunday's race. We'll see both qualifying and the race, of course, here on Speed.
Well, that sunshine there gives you an idea of just how thick the air is here in Shanghai. You hear about this air in China being a bit on the thick side from time to time. It certainly looks it there.
Good seats still available for the end of practice.
Well, the per capita income of China is something like $5,000, and I assume a seat in the grandstand is the usual Formula One of about $300. So if you want to bring the family, that's your family income gone for the year.
You see, the track at Fuji in Japan last week said they're going to issue refunds plus expenses to about 7,000 fans who paid over $560 equivalent U.S. for special grandstand seats that didn't have any kind of a view of the racetrack to speak of at all.
And they're going to refund the money for a whole bunch of people who couldn't get in because they had that bus system to get the people in.
Yeah,
there.
The road collapsed.
And they were late, so they got to give them the money back.
Yep, part of the road washed out, so the shuttle buses had trouble getting in. They promised to try to do better next year. From the 196, 97 zone in miles per hour. Nick Heidfeld seems to have gotten right back with the program. There's your short cameraman shot.
While we're watching these guys circulate, just looking at Raikkonen's time, they're currently down in 5th. He just set his personal best. Now the camera's just picked him up, the director's just picked it up too. 25.6 through sector 1, 28.9 through sector 2. Personal best for Raikkonen.
I guess great minds do think as one.
On these soft tyres, as we were saying earlier on, this chassis seems to be able to use the soft tyre. The McLaren, even round here, there it is up into P1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and fastest through the 3rd sector. 41.9, fastest of the day through there.
Well, of course, he drove a brilliant race last week. He got somewhat overshadowed by that mistake the team made putting him on intermediates at the start. But nevertheless, he started at the back and finished 3rd. I mean, just a smidgen behind Kimi Raikkonen. So he actually drove a fantastic race last year.
Oh, he did. I mean, if they'd have started him on the correct tyres, he would have been fighting for the race win.
Oh, yeah.
No question of that.
Absolutely.
And talking of which, here are the guys responsible for it one way or another. Now, there's some speculation around that chap we just saw right there. Mr. Jean Todt, whether or not he'll be at Ferrari next year or the year after. Speculation perhaps that he'll go to Toyota. I can't see that, I must say. But there was a somewhat enigmatic press release put out by Jean Todt last week, or his comments after the race, suggesting that, well, you know, my future at Ferrari is not all down to me. It's down to Ferrari. I'm kind of just a Ferrari employee at the end of the day. Very true, Mr. Todd. Very true.
And Luca Di Montezemolo, who is his boss, was not pleased in Japan. Not so much that they gambled on the intermediates, but that they weren't aware that the FIA had mandated full wets.
Well, I have to say, you know, irrespective and regardless of Nigel Stepney and what he may have done or may not have done, when Nigel Stepney was working as the race technical manager at Ferrari, not in a billion years would that have ever have happened. I mean, that was Nigel Stepney's great strength. He was all over everything, all the while. Communication with the FIA, communication with the engineers, the mechanics, the drivers. That's what he did. That was his great strength, of gelling the team together and being on top of every scrap of information up and down the pit lane.
And Steve, I could not agree with you more. Yet again, I've said that 3 times today, but can you imagine Michael Schumacher sitting in the second row there for Ferrari, looking at Charlie Whiting, Herbie Blash and Burt Mylander, looking up at the sky, standing by the safety car and not saying to Nigel Stepney or Ross Brawn, find out what those guys are talking about. It is just inconceivable that he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And yet again, you know, I think we're seeing Ferrari in the post-Michael era, and it's a very different sort of Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were personnel changes. There was a lot of confused looks when Mario Almondo was made technical director, replacing Ross Brawn. Mario Almondo had previous experience as head of human resources at Ferrari and then production manager. Well, I mean, I don't know Mario Almondo, but I do know there's a massive difference in job responsibility between production manager and technical director.
In fact, that is one of the whispers in the pit lane, that Ferrari has somehow gotten on a hire from within, promote Italian, to the exclusion of, you know, the era of internationalism at Ferrari that saw such incredible achievements. Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne, Nigel Stepney, Michael Schumacher. People begin to wonder if Ferrari is stepping back into one of its less admirable chapters.
Well, the Kimpster ends on top of the timesheets, but he's 6,000ths of a second quicker than Alonso, who in turn is 23,000ths of a second quicker than Felipe Massa, who in fact, and just 2/10 away from the top is Lewis Hamilton. So, and Jarno Trulli is right behind them, half a second off. So it's all very close at the top, and Mark Webber's next, then Ralphie.
It's Alonso on the hard tyres. But it is currently Raikkonen, Alonso, Massa, Hamilton. And I was going to say Ferrari, McLaren, but that battle's kind of over, really.
Well, all this just sets the stage for a terrific battle in knockout qualifying. Will be coming your way tomorrow night. We'll be back with